I was driving my Mustang across the Texas desert, taking a back route that hardly anyone used. I chose this road because I wanted complete freedom. Just me, my car, and the endless horizon. The top was down, letting the hot desert wind whip across my face. It carried dust, dry earth, and the faint metallic scent of sun-baked asphalt. The view around me never seemed to change. Tall, twisted cacti stood like strange statues. Thorny shrubs grew in scattered patches. The ground cracked open, like it hadn't felt rain in years. The desert stretched forever, swallowing both time and distance. The road was a single lane each way, and in the last few minutes, I hadn't passed a single car. The silence was so heavy that the roar of my Mustang's engine echoed back at me from nowhere. Now and then, desert winds kicked up dust, glittering gold in the afternoon light sinking toward the west. I pressed the gas harder. The engine pulled. The wind howled louder. Adrenaline rushed, each second making my heart pound faster, until freedom snapped in an instant. A loud bang erupted beneath the hood. It shattered the silence, my hands gripping the wheel in reflex. The car jolted violently. My body lurched forward. The Mustang shuddered as if in pain. I eased onto the brakes, trying to stay steady on the empty straight road. Dust and sand lifted from the tires, spinning into the air, settling back on my skin and clothes. I drew a long breath, forcing down the panic creeping in. Looking ahead only sharpened the emptiness of this place. No houses, no gas stations, not even power poles in sight. With sweaty hands, I stepped out and lifted the hood. I pretended I knew what I was doing, but all I saw was a mess of metal and cables, burning hot. No smoke, no leaking oil, not even a strange noise when the engine went silent. Only stillness, as if the desert itself was watching me. I pulled my phone from my pocket, hoping for a signal. The screen glared back, no service. The signal was gone, and instantly, something hollow pressed into my chest. Small, fragile, alone. The sun dipped lower, its slanting light harsh, burning into my skin even as the wind kept moving. I slammed the hood shut, a burst of frustration in the empty air, then lowered myself onto the trunk to sit. I unscrewed my water bottle, drinking deep gulps, but the liquid slid down my dry throat without relief. Seconds dragged into minutes. Minutes stretched into hours. The desert was never truly silent. Crickets in the distance, shrubs rustling with the wind, the faint hiss of shifting sand. Every sound only sharpened the weight of my isolation. I bowed my head, exhaustion pulling at me though I had sat only a short while. That creeping loneliness dug deeper, heavier with each breath. Even simple movements like lifting the bottle again felt heavy, as if the desert rejected me. I realized then, there was no one here I could rely on. Only me, my Mustang stalled and lifeless, and a barren land that seemed to have no end. Hours had passed since I got stuck in the desert, fatigue creeping in, mingling with creeping despair. I sat beside my motionless Mustang, staring down the empty road, hoping for some miracle. Finally, I saw headlights in the distance. My heart leapt instantly. Hope flared, small but fierce, in the darkness. I stood quickly, waving my arms high, hoping the driver would see me, but the car kept moving steadily, its light sweeping over me for a moment before vanishing into the night. I froze, chest sinking, as if hope had been snatched away again. Night fell slowly, wrapping the desert in sharp temperature drops. The air that had scorched me all day now cut through my skin. A biting cold that made my sweat-soaked body feel heavier. I hugged my thin jacket tighter, though it offered little comfort. My stomach growled. Hunger gnawed at me. The water bottle had only a few sips left, warm and unsatisfying. I drank carefully, trying to calm myself, though anxiety only grew stronger. After some time, another engine roared closer, breaking the desert's tense silence. The bright headlights made me squint. The car slowed, then stopped right beside me. Its engine hummed, heavy and steady, powerful and commanding. The driver's door opened. A large man stepped out. Broad shoulders, a rigid stance, a hard face lit by the headlights. There was something in the way he stood, firm, upright, that immediately set me on edge. He approached, eyes serious, fixed on me. I hurried to explain about my Mustang breaking down, but the way he listened felt different. Not simply caring, but measuring. His questions came fast and sharp. "You're alone? Where are you headed? Does anyone know you're here?" His tone was firm, genuinely concerned, but it pressed on my chest. Something in his voice made me feel small, like I was being interrogated, not helped. I nodded, answering as honestly as I could, even as worry grew inside me. He only nodded slowly, eyes locked on mine, measuring every move. Night deepened, the air chilled further. Time moved on while I remained stranded in the desert, with no options. After a moment of silence, he finally offered a ride. It sounded like a way out, but also like a trap. My heart wavered, torn between accepting help or staying here alone. I knew surviving the desert at night could be far more dangerous than riding with a stranger, yet hesitation clung tight. I took a deep breath, convincing myself this was the most logical choice. With heavy steps, I climbed into his car. The door slammed, and the cabin felt instantly cramped. The smell of leather mixed with faint gasoline, adding to the oppressive atmosphere. The engine roared back to life, breaking the silence. The car moved slowly, leaving my Mustang behind. The dark road stretched ahead, only pierced by twin beams of headlights. Inside, silence reigned. Only the engine's hum and my own breathing filled the space. I sat stiff in the passenger seat, trying to think positively, but anxiety lingered. Every second of the ride felt long, full of uncertainty, wishing this night would pass without incident. Minutes after I settled into his car, a strange feeling began crawling through my mind. No clear reason, but my instinct screamed that something was wrong. The car slowed suddenly on the empty road. He glanced at me sharply. His words were brief, telling me to get out and open the hood. Flat as they sounded, his gaze sent shivers down my spine. I hesitated, but stepped out anyway. The desert night air cut through me, cold and harsh, a stark contrast to the heat I'd just endured. As I approached the hood, I caught a small movement behind the windshield. He remained in the driver's seat, hands gripping the wheel, eyes fixed on me. There was something in that stare. Hard, deliberate. That made me want to run immediately. Then everything happened fast. The car inched forward, wheels crunching on sand and gravel, heading straight for me. My heart raced, my body tensed. No time to think. I spun around and ran with all my strength, leaving the car behind. My feet pounded the hard desert floor. Sand and small rocks flew into the air, clattering loudly, keeping pace with my heartbeat. Suddenly, bang! A gunshot tore through the night. Sharp, slicing the cold air, paralyzing me for a fraction of a second. I ducked instinctively, feeling cold sweat run down my back, breath ragged, chest pressed with fear, but I didn't stop. The only choice was to run into the desert darkness, as far as possible from the headlights and the fading roar of the engine. Each step felt like a battle against my own body, muscles burning, lungs tightening, yet adrenaline forced my legs to keep moving. The night desert was far scarier than the day. Nothing but pitch black, cold wind, and the sound of my own steps. Every now and then, stones shifted behind me. Was it my own steps, or something else? I didn't look back. I knew turning would slow me down, and maybe show me something I didn't want to see. I kept running, focusing on the rhythm of my ragged breathing. Fatigue gnawed at me, but fear was far stronger than pain. Dust and sand stuck to my face and clothes, mixed with salty sweat. The hot, dry scent from the day lingered in my nose, blending with the cold night air. The silence of the desert amplified terror, making every exhale sound deafening. I had no idea how long I ran. Hours, it seemed, until slowly, the sky began to fade. A faint light of dawn appeared on the horizon, splitting the desert darkness. My body almost collapsed, but I staggered forward, eyes catching sight of something that made them well up. Another vehicle's lights. A car stopped not far from me. A couple, coincidentally passing by, rushed out with anxious faces. They offered me water. I drank greedily, the cold liquid reviving my body. They quickly helped me into their car, driving me toward the nearest town. In the passenger seat of that rescue car, my body still shook violently. I hugged myself, trying to steady my remaining breaths, but my mind kept returning to the previous night, to his gaze, to the gunshot ringing in my ears. Every second in the desert had felt like a life and death trial. Now, though I had survived, the fear remained, a warning I could not ignore. That Texas desert was no longer just sand and cacti for me. It had become a place of darkness, something far more dangerous than it appeared, something I would never forget.